S is Sight for Dutch.
Hey, Dutchies, welcome back to another episode of your PA Dutch Minute. As many of you guys know, I teach high school German, but I also get to teach an AP advanced placements like college level European history class every year. And one aspect of that curriculum that is really important is that we look at and talk a lot about art through the ages. We hit the Renaissance, we hit the Enlightenment, we hit Baroque, all these different styles of art, Impressionism, Picasso, and the Surrealists, and all that stuff. And it's a lot of fun. We get to look at some awesome works of art, and we get to talk about what these paintings meant and why they were emblematic of the era that they were painted in. And that got me thinking, there's been a lot of famous Pennsylvania Dutch artists over the years, but two that I don't think get a lot of, I don't know what's the right word, respect. I don't know if respect might be the right word, but they definitely don't get talked about enough. So I figured let's highlight both of them in an episode of your PA Dutch Minute. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about two famous Pennsylvania Dutch painters, Peter F. Rothermel and David Ellinger. Maybe for some of you, these are names that you've never heard before, but I feel pretty safe to say that if you are a resident of Pennsylvania, you probably saw one of the paintings that I'm going to show you before and had no idea that a Pennsylvania Dutchman painted it. It's a pretty famous painting, and we'll talk about that. This painting that's here on the front, this first slide, is one of Rothermel's work, Patrick Henry addressing the House of Burgesses in California. No, in Virginia. So we break it down. Let's talk and learn a little bit about both of these artists and look at some of their work. And we'll start with Peter Rothermel. Born in 1812 in the city of Nescopec. Now, that's not traditionally Pennsylvania Dutch country. That's up in Luzerne County, up near Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, that area. You might say, what was a Pennsylvania Dutchman doing up there? Well, you have to remember that there were a lot of Pennsylvania Dutch families that originally came in through Philadelphia or even up into New York, and then eventually moved around after a couple generations. And there were a lot of Pennsylvania Dutch that moved into what is known as the Wyoming Valley, which is there where Scranton, and Wilkes-Barre and that whole part of that northeast corner of Pennsylvania. He happened to be the son of family of parents that made that move, or maybe his grandparents. I don't remember from reading from the biography that there's not much out there on this guy, on both these guys. You have to really scour the internet to find some information. But regardless, born in Nescopec, Pennsylvania, in 1832, at the age of 20, he moves down to Philadelphia to study art, where he actually does study it. And then to up his game, he moves to Europe for 3 years in the 1850s, from 1856 to 1859, where he studied the art that he came into contact with there in Europe, and also artists of the era. He was in Rome. He spent some time in France as well. So Italy and France, two hubs of art, of course, in the European perspective. And then finally came back to the United States and painted some more. When we look at his art, he kind of gets generalized as someone that specializes in portraitures and dramatic historical paintings. And that's what we're going to look at today. So Peter Rothermel then goes on and dies in 1895. His son would go on to become district attorney for the city of Philadelphia. As far as grandchildren, that I don't know about, but I can tell you at least his son went on to become a prominent member of Philadelphia society. So let's look at three of Rothermel's paintings. The first one is from early in his career, from 1850. This is Portrait of the Downer Children. I would imagine the Downer family might have been a prominent family in Philadelphia that paid Rothermel to paint their children, which is common for artists to do. I like that he included the rabbit. So very realistic style painting, not avant-garde, not weird stuff, or new stuff or new age. It's the 1850s, very much a painting of the era that Rothermel was living in. Here's another one. Christ Among the Doctors from 1861. So we're moving 11 years later in his career. Religious scene. Again, realism at play. But the painting that he is probably most famous for, and the one that a lot of Pennsylvanians have seen without even knowing that he painted it, is the Battle of Gettysburg from 1870. If you ever get the chance to go to the State Museum in Harrisburg, this painting hangs in the museum, and it is a massive canvas. I should have looked up the dimensions, but it is big. And when you're going through the Civil War part of the museum there in Harrisburg, this has a prominent place in their collection. It is just this massive, and when you get up real close to it, you can see the details standing from afar. This, of course, is portraying Pickett's charge, a portion of the Battle of Gettysburg on day 3 of the Battle of Gettysburg. This is at the stone wall, at the high water mark of the Confederacy, at the, if you know your Battle of Gettysburg history, and many kids that have gone to the State Museum on a field trip from school have seen this painting. Or if you've ever really studied much of the Civil War, or you had to, or you are into the Civil War, you will have seen this image. This is a very, very famous painting. And I would urge all of you, if you've never been to the State Museum in Harrisburg, go. First off, it's a wonderful museum that tells the story of Pennsylvania from our native population, pre-European settlement, from the dinosaur era all the way till today. It is a wonderful museum with a great collection of stuff. And this painting is worth the trip alone to go see and actually see this in real life. So 3 paintings by Peter F. Rothermel, famous Pennsylvania Dutch artist. Let's jump ahead to the 1900s, the 20th century, for our second artist, and that is David Ellinger, born in 1913 and died in 2003. He was born near Trapp, Pennsylvania, where he grew up on his grandparents' farm there in Trapp. Maybe many of you are familiar with Trapp. That's where the Muhlenberg family, of course, had their homes, Peter and Henry, and the Historic Trapp Association is there. It tells the story. He was, unlike Rothermel, he was a self-taught artist. And in 1935, his life would take a big turn, wherein he would join the Works Progress Administration, WPS. This is all part of the New Deal, of course, during the Depression, where he was given the opportunity to contribute to the Index of American Design project, which these artists were going around the country documenting American design in all parts of America. And he, of course, concentrated on the area that he knew well, which was the Pennsylvania Dutch region. And we'll see that really comes through in his art. His fame and his ability starts to get recognized, and by the mid 1940s already, his works are being shown in major art hubs in Philadelphia, in New York City, and gaining some traction by sure. What was really amazing about Ellinger's life, and I don't know too much about him because there's not a lot out there, to be honest, but according to Historic Trapp, they did a big celebration of his life a couple of years ago. In his total career, he painted more than 6,000 works, which is just crazy to think about. That's a massive body of work that he left behind. I really like Ellinger's work, and it quite different from Rothermel's style that we just looked at. Let's jump into 3 of Ellinger's paintings. I think these are going to talk to you as well, speak to you as a Pennsylvania Dutch person. The first one is Out of the Heart Comes the Issues of Life from 1943. All of the motifs of the Pennsylvania Dutch folk art. We have flowers, we have hearts, we have barns with barn stars, hex signs. We have the agricultural aspect going on here. This painting is just absolutely beautiful and bright and vibrant. A lot of Ellinger's paintings, all 3 that we're going to look at, are bright and colorful, very much like the Pennsylvania Dutch folk art that you know. Here's a second of Ellinger's paintings, The Quilt from 1943. Again, it just pops. The color just pops out of these paintings. Front porch scene, beautiful Pennsylvania Dutch made quilt, grandma in her chair, potted plants on the porch. You know this. You know this scene, even though you weren't there. It for me, it speaks to me. And one last painting from Ellinger, and that is one that I just love. Down Laudel Creek Way, 1965. He has a lot of paintings of barns, typical Pennsylvania Dutch style barns with the hex signs, with the barn stars, the Shire-Stanne, some winter scenes, some summer scenes. It's just beautiful, beautiful, vibrant art. This, of course, is a winter scene. It's a little darker. The sky's a little darker. We got the snow on the ground. But if you get a chance to search, you can find a lot of his work online. You can't find out a lot about him, but you can definitely find a lot of his work and images of his work online. Rothermel didn't paint 6,000 paintings. Ellinger did, and there is a lot out there. So definitely, if either of these 2 artists spoke to you, when the video is over, go get on Google and search David Ellinger or Peter F. Rothermel painter, and you will see many examples of their work, and it's really worth taking the time to check out, especially Ellinger's work. It's just beautiful. To me, absolutely beautiful, beautiful stuff. So there's a quick look at 2 different Pennsylvania Dutch painters. We had Peter Rothermel, the traditional 1800s, very romantic style painter. And then we had David Ellinger, a modern painter, but one that told the story of the Pennsylvania Dutch through his art. great stuff. If you have an idea for a future video, a topic you'd love to learn more about, or if you know of some famous Pennsylvania Dutch person that I haven't covered yet, shoot me an email, info@padutch101.com, and then if it's something that I think we can make a video out of it, I definitely will tackle it. If you like what we're doing here, there's a lot of ways that you can support the channel. One is go buy some merch. Go to our PA Dutch 101 site on Zazzle, where you can get Pennsylvania Dutch themed merch, t-shirts, magnets, stickers, sweatshirts, stuff with all Pennsylvania Dutch, some stuff with Pennsylvania Dutch phrases or traditional Pennsylvania Dutch motifs. So check our website out. Zazzle.com/PA Dutch 101. The link is in the show notes here on the video. And also, you can financially support what we do here on the channel. You can either buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Doug Maidenford, or you can become a monthly patron over on our Patreon page. If you go to patreon.com/PA Dutch 101, it'll take you right to our page where you can then become a monthly patron. And I say gross dunk to anybody that financially supports what we're doing here at the channel. You don't have to, but it's an opportunity if you want to say thanks, like a virtual tip jar, so to speak. Finally, follow along on all the cool stuff that we're doing here on the channel. Visit our website, padutch101.com. And then also, if you are on social media, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, or X. Just look for @PADutch101 on any of those sites. As long as they're running and the government doesn't ban them, we're going to keep the Pennsylvania Dutch content coming. It is a pleasure coming to you every once in a while with these nuggets of Pennsylvania Dutch juicy goodiness, and I hope to keep doing that in the future. Till next time, dear friends, keep practicing your Pennsylvania Dutch, learn more about our culture, and Max gut.
Max gut, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And schlock that notification bell.